Yes, first, before we go on, I'd like to have everybody introduce themselves
Shoot.
by name or whatever.
Kris Kanoho, guitar.
Oh, Jose Langtayan, guitar.
Keone, vocals, ukulele.
Brent, drums.
Kris Kanabita vocals.
Kris Lavatai, eye candy. Eating it, played the bass.
Right on. So, how did One Groove originate, and how did you guys come up with the One Groove name?
That's killing it.
Oh, that's it.
Heaney.
You guys can leave, so I don't know.
I guess there's a couple versions, but I was told of another version a couple days ago, and I kind of like that version better. So I'm gonna hold back from that version and actually gonna pass that over to Heaney and tell his version of how it actually came about.
Well, what happened was we were playing at a graduation party for one of our good friends' sisters, and we ended up playing, and one of her friends came down and enjoyed our music so much she asked us to go up and play at her graduation party right after that. And then while we were playing, this guy started yelling, "One Groove rocks! One Groove rocks!" And we're all looking at each other, who's One Groove? And then so from there we ended up taking up the name One Groove. That's how we basically got the name.
Right on. What actually brought you guys to California? Might be different for some, might be different for others. Like, what pretty much brought you guys to California?
Start from that side.
What brought me to California? School.
Same school.
Yeah.
I actually came for school as well, to Menlo College. So
Yeah, school.
College, school.
I had choke relatives up here, but it's supposed to be for school too.
I'm probably the only one that's different. I came up here actually with my parents my senior year in high school, and my dad came up here to go through seminary training to become. He was our pastor in Hawaii. So he came up here, and then about less than 2 years later, they ended up moving back. I didn't want to come. They drugged me here, and then they left, and I ended up just staying.
So, off of that, you guys have any regrets of moving to California?
It's just temporary.
No regrets.
Nah, no regrets.
No, I encourage everybody who's actually, if you're from Hawaii, definitely, it's, where we come from is definitely a unique and beautiful place, and it'll always be there. But if you have the opportunity to get off the island and actually see what's out there, there's a lot of things out there outside of Hawaii. So, culture, besides just watching all the movies on TV about like what the big world is about, it's go and experience it, because you can always go back home. But a lot of times, when you go home and you're from Hawaii, it's like there's a fear that, like, nah, I don't need go. I get everything I need here, which is true. But why not go? If you have the opportunity and you have the chance to go, I encourage everybody to go.
you're gonna
always go
appreciate
back.
home more.
You definitely have a greater appreciation, sunsets, beaches, the people, people who you went to school with, especially in high school if you play sports, sometimes there's a, relationship, especially if you play sports, depending on what school you come from, there's rivalry, and you don't really talk to them in Hawaii because, your rival schools, if you're talking about high school, he's from
St. Louis, baby.
I'm from Kamehameha, and we play sports. That was one of those things, it's not like you hate each other, but it's a rivalry thing. So anyways, you don't talk to each other when you're in Hawaii, if you're in the sporting, area. But anyways, you move away from Hawaii, school doesn't matter because now you guys bonded together because you guys are both from Hawaii. And that's the way being on the mainland is, you from Hawaii, no matter if you're Hawaiian or not, you from Hawaii. So you guys basically, mentality is the same, cultures, you share experiences, and then you build friendships.
Yeah, I definitely agree, especially when UH and San Jose State played. I was blown away by how much fans was there of Hawaii, and That's for San Jose's team. Maybe having less than half the fans that we have, but it's a trip. So, you know.
Oh, and actually, also too, if you like Holly girls, like these two brothers right here, this is the place to be. You get more variety up here.
Good place. Thank you, local chicks.
There's a lot of Hawaiian transplants.
Since you brought that up, which one of you guys are married, single, or other?
Married.
Single.
Girlfriend.
There's actually a lot of
Married, brothers get married.
everybody's pretty much married in this group, but somehow. No, yeah, I'll just keep it at that. Yeah, we just better move on. That could turn into a really bad question.
Okay, I know most of you guys came to California for school, besides Kanoho. And most of you guys went to Menlo. But how did you all 7 get together? Being, you know, you guys never all went to the same school or even at the same time. How did you guys just one day, 7 of you guys get together?
I guess everybody has their own short.
I guess
version of
this is
that.
probably the place for the real one group story. So Jen, why don't you start, and then I pick them up from me and Jose.
Basically, I think it's you know, we all shared our passion for music, and that's where it originally started. But you know, it goes a little bit deeper than that, and only we'll share. You know.
It's pretty simple and it happens everywhere. You know, if you move away from Hawaii, as Heaney says, you know, to reiterate, it's the passion for music. And if you go away from school, you know, you play music back home, backyard style. You go to school, you take your uku bangas, you take your music, and you just start jamming. And when we were all at college, majority of us actually graduated from Menlo College, so that's pretty much the common ground where we actually all met.
Well,
And from there, like that.
the
Like
pond.
that tie, yeah.
I see that. I see that pond.
like that.
That was good
You guys will
stuff.
catch that once you guys understand common ground. But anyways, we met there. You do the luau things at colleges. There's a luau things, and actually several of us actually played music from there. And you know, the traditional Hawaiian music. That's what we grew up playing at the luau's. And from there, actually, there were several of us actually in the band, and we had one band prior, and that's where actually Kanoho came in. I think it was probably our senior or junior year in college where we were already at the college. Kanoho and Jose were actually in another Hawaiian group. They're already known up here, traditional Hawaiian group. And we needed a guitarist, actually somebody to actually fill in with us and, you know, come in, and we brought in Kanoho to actually play music with us on the traditional side. This is all, there's no one group yet. This is all Hawaiian music that we're playing. And from then, you know, from that one gig when we brought in Kanoho to play with us, the friendship built from there. We were still in school, but we knew Kanoho on that tie. Once we started evolving our music as far as still at school and trying to get into the reggae side, you know, we started playing that and was like, hey, we need a guitarist again. Hino and I are still here, and we kind of just, all of us had our feel. You know, we knew him, we know like Hawaii guys, so like, hey, you guys want to play? And it could go, the story is pretty long, but in a nutshell, I guess you want to say, that's pretty much the way it started. From Hawaiian music, we changed the music and started playing, you know, what was actually going on in Hawaii, but we tried to evolve our sound and kind of went on from there. And if anybody want to jump in, you know, I don't know if that made sense, but that's pretty much how it came about from ground up.
Okay, how, I guess, you know, you guys started off from traditional Hawaiian, that made you guys way to, you guys are reggae feel and lovers rock feel. How have each of you kind of contributed different feeling or different sound to the group? How would you guys kind of say that just in a quick nutshell?
Branjo.
I don't know. There's different styles. Everyone has different styles, and that they grew up with or liked, and that you know brought influence to this table. I know these guys were, you know, not only traditional one, but they're rockers also. You know, so that brought a different sound to it, and everybody has their own different thing going on. These two are like the R&B guys, right? But yeah, that's how it pretty much went, and then it kind of just formed into what it is now.
I think what's interesting about the band is that we all have, it wasn't like, if you listen to the band, there's like a mix of different influences. We have 3 different singers but it wasn't the kind. It just evolved naturally. It wasn't the kind of thing where we thought, okay, we need an R&B singer in the group, so we put out an ad and found Lavatar. We need a more of like a raga, like a rapper kind of guy. And we were bringing killing it. It didn't happen that way. It just kind of the friendship evolved, and I don't think we ever recruited anyone really for the band. It just we just kind of came together.
Each other.
And then I grew up playing Hawaiian music. And me and Jose also in our high school years played rock, and Kris R&B and gospel kind of stuff. And
So, how would you categorize One Groove's sound, like the genre? I know you guys don't just stay in one, you guys diversify, but which genres would you guys say that you guys are?
I know it sounds cliche. Yeah, it sounds cliche to say that we don't have a genre, because the obviously the most obvious thing is we get categorized in the reggae category or the Hawaiian category, but I think our sound from how we're different from maybe some of the groups in Hawaii is that we are surrounded by a lot of influences. Our good friends Native Elements, they play more roots reggae. So we're influenced a lot by the more mainstream, maybe more rootsy kind of stuff, even though we're not a roots band. I think you find a lot of those elements in our sound.
Okay, so you guys released one album entitled Make Your Move, and you guys had 2 songs. I believe it was Heartache and Big Ship. They were #1 hits in Hawaii. How did that feel?
Felt awesome. It was a really good feeling to go back home and actually be able to hear your song on the radio, and when you perform it and people know the words to your song, it's a really good feeling. I don't know how to explain it except that it just, you can't. It's awesome. Like people actually dig your music and know the words and can sing it. I mean, as a writer, like, that's the best feeling you can get, man.
So I guess after Heartache came out, #1 hit single, did that change any of you guys' lives? Like, you guys were not real famous, but famous in Hawaii. You guys had like people calling you up or texting you, or
I think that, I don't know that if it changed us as people, but I think the one thing that struck home for me was, we work on these songs, we've been living with these songs for so long, for years. I mean, Make Your Move took 2.5, 3 years to build, right? I mean, to actually the recording process itself, and not even talking about the 3 or 4 years before that, writing and arranging and things like that. But it was cool to like what Kris was saying, you live with these songs so long, and as artists, you're always second guessing yourself. You're always wondering, is it good enough? Are people gonna like it? We like it, but that doesn't mean jack, right? So when it actually came out and people appreciated what the writing and the music, that was pretty cool. That was a pretty awesome feeling, and it kind of validated the hard work that we had put in. We had worked so long and hard on that record.
yeah, because I know when I first came to Menlo College back in 2004, that's just about the time you guys released the album, and I guess it was like your second or third CD release party at Hukilau, Palo Alto. I remember going, and then I guess the biggest thing, I was like, oh god, I heard you guys hit single over the summer on the radio, but then I guess after, I don't know, I think ended up going to, was it your place?
Yeah, it was Donnie's place.
It was Donnie's
yeah.
place, and then just see Heaney, like, oh, you're the bass player. Then the feed was there too,
Yeah.
and that, personally, me, I always brag to my friends about you guys. Oh yeah, I know them. We cruise all the time. No, but that's one thing I personally, as a fan and as a friend of you guys' music, it makes me feel good.
Thanks.
Right on.
So, being that obviously you guys live in California, how challenging was it to get your music heard on, I guess, in Hawaii, and maybe even in the mainland?
How challenging? You mean how challenging? Oh, we cut. How challenging? Let's see. Wait. Let me see. How challenging?
How did it happen?
No, yeah.
How how did you guys talk to somebody like a program director?
Okay. Yeah.
Or-
I was waiting for these guys to say something. They don't know.
I don't know.
So you know, a lot of people think that, you know, I mean, Heartache happened so fast and it, you know, went into heavy rotation, you know, pretty quickly. And then not a lot of people know, but All My Life actually went into rotation for a while in 98.5. And then Big Shit. And I think the first thing people always ask is like, you know, how did you guys do it? You know, we have other bands that come and ask us, you know, who did you talk to? Who did you send stuff to? You know, who did you know? And really the answer is nobody. I mean, you know, it was kind of at the right place at the right time. We felt good about our product. We put a lot of time and a lot of effort into it. And you know, as far as PDs and, you know, radio stations go, if you have a distributor, they typically send your stuff out. All your, you know, they send your material out to all of the radio stations. Now, whether it gets thrown in a, you know, a rubbish bin or someone's personal CD collection, you never know. But you know, luckily for us, someone at KCC and someone in 98.5 picked up these, you know, picked up what got sent out and listened to it, and that's really how it happened. We didn't pay anybody, or we didn't.
And a lot of people actually thought that we actually, you know, paid money, but, you know, us being newbies to the industry, you know, we didn't know that, you know, that's what the common thing is to do. You know, especially here in California or just in the mainland in general. For people in Hawaii don't know, I guess it happens in Hawaii as well, but there's other favors that people do. But in the mainland, like, in order to get your song on rotation, when you come out with an album, if you know the program director or anybody, you put down some money, you know, and that's how you get spins. Well, in Hawaii, I guess, I don't know if that's true, and we, to this day, we don't know. But I don't want to say accused, but people actually are saying, like, how much do you guys have to pay? And that question came up to us, and we were like, pay who? And they're like, how much do you guys pay? Because you guys' songs are really playing a lot. And we're like, we don't know. And like, I don't even know how that happened, but, you know, I guess it was luck of the draw. It was just a blessing because, you know, I mean, we did it the same way everybody else did, you know, just, hey, we're one groove, and, you know, hopefully you guys will like something on our album. We'd appreciate it if you guys can play. Just ask nicely, and luckily, you know, I guess they really liked something on the album, and from there it just, you know, not just Oahu radio stations, but Outer Islands as well. You know, we got great receptions from them as well, so we're just, like I said, it's a blessing. You know, that album did well for us, and from there, you know, it just one after another, you know,
like
just
10 KCC and
and
98.5.
big, yeah, that's big,
You know,
big.
I mean, that was,
We owe a lot to Davey Dave, KCC and FM 100, and Kelsey Yogi from 98.5, Pipeline to Paradise, all the island stations that picked us up too, and even a lot of the stations up here too.
I mean, just everybody, you know, like once it's actually on the radio, then the fan reception, you know, besides our immediate families and friends, you know, other people are like, who was this group, you know? And, you know, if the words gets out, you know how it is in Hawaii. I mean, just you know, it just spawns and like, bam, and they just hit. So, luck of the draw, I guess.
I guess to my knowledge, I think he is like the second or third group to come out. Like, originally, of course, he is from Hawaii, but then he's moved to the mainland. The one group that comes to mind previous that really made it big, and I guess the mainstream island local reggae music in Hawaii has been Pauhana. I know you guys kind of not really follow, but then you guys, another group from California, made it big. So off of that, how has the response been amongst fans here in the mainland when you guys do gigs, and when you guys go home to Hawaii and do gigs in the club scene and birthday bash? KCC and from 100 birthday bash 16.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of different for us because we're up here in the mainland, so we don't get to, you know. I mean, I know when the album did hit, there was a lot of, you know, good things happening, you know, for the group, but because we're up here, it was a little different for us. We didn't feel the impact as much, I guess in a way, you know, and it's kept us kind of doing our thing, you know, up here, trying to promote up here. Our main goal is to promote up here. Home was the, you know, just the topping, I guess, on top of it, but it actually became the main portion of it. But it was being up here, I don't know, the fans, you know, the way they react is similar to back home. But back home is kind of, you know, new to us when we do it because we don't get to play there often, so it's more exciting for us, you know, plus you're back home, you know, but it's great both ways. Fans are great, you know, back home and up here. It's been a blessing.
And for all of us too, all of our families are all back home. Most of us are here by ourselves, or just with our wives. But our immediate families, our extended families, are all back home. So it's cool to go home and play music for for our families. They all come out and they support. Half the audience is our family.
I think music in general is actually like when we started out, our quest as far as being, I guess you could call it professional musicians. One of the goals, like I guess a lot of people that have bands and are in Hawaii, they want to reach an audience outside of Hawaii. Well, for us, it's like we're already in outside of Hawaii. So like our goal was to actually spread our music, what's actually going on in Hawaii, and represent Hawaii. Yes, we are from Hawaii, but this is a different brand of music, and we want to actually, just keep trotting and actually do the same thing. But we're here, so let's set the footprint here already, and actually put the music all out here, and take advantage of all the resources that we have that people in Hawaii, just that plane ride alone is a lot of money. Well, we're here already. So let's get the music out and let's just, pound the pavement as much as we can and get this music what's going on and represent Hawaii the best that we can and we know how. And for us to actually do that here, and then when we go home, it's like the hard work is paid off. It's like going back home is just, you're home like, wow, we can actually play that back home, because we knew we were going to go home. We wanted to actually play for our family because everybody's always calling, when you guys coming back home, when you guys coming back home. And it was just opportunity always came, it's like, and it's just, I guess I want to always say lucky, but we did work for a lot of our things, we did put in our time as musicians, and we did pound pavement, we didn't just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Before the album came out, we've been playing for a long time, and we come from humble beginnings, just like grassroots,
Up here is work, back home was, fun to play.
Yeah, it's like we put in our time.
It's a
up here.
pleasure to play back home, but up here is work.
So, being a young small kid, youngsters, growing up and I guess finding a knack in music. I know personally, one day I would love to play at the Waikiki show. Be from Hawaii. That's the venue. That's the good thing. That's like the Carnegie Hall of the mainland. So how did that feel, taking the Waikiki shell stage?
I remember watching in the audience Macaw Bash, first birthday bash, and just looking up at that stage and just thinking, wow, and then to have played there, it's like, wow, it's totally different. It's crazy.
It's also like so rushed, like the excitement and anticipation, like it happens like that. Like you just walk out and you see all the people and it's just like surreal, like, oh my God, I'm playing at the Shell and like, I don't know, and then it's over just like that. Like you're just like, whoa, what just happened? Like it's so much fun, man. I mean,
and that stage has so much history, of course.
Like you said, like I grew up, like even though we're in this genre, like I love traditional Hawaiian music, to the bone. So like going to all the Macaw Bashes, seeing all the legends, not just Macaw Bashes, but the Slacky performances, all the Hawaiian stuff there. Like you don't even fathom that you actually one day be on stage. Like you're sharing, this tradition. It might not be the same genre, but it's the same message. You know what I mean? And we come from Hawaii. And it's like, wow, we're actually gonna play at the Waikiki show. So you ask like, how is it? The feeling is almost unexplainable. If you come from Hawaii and you grow up going to all these things, seeing all these legends, and we're nowhere near that, actually being in, their status, but just to have that opportunity again, and you can actually tell your kids, tell your grandkids, like, actually played there. That's crazy.
Speaking of icons on the Waikiki shell stage, I know another icon, Brother Nolan, that took stage with you guys when you guys did Big Ship back in 2006. How was that? You guys had your guys' style of how you guys did Big Ship, and he had his style. I think it was released in the late 80s, early 90s. How was that, playing his style and your guys' style, and just, sharing stage with an icon like Brother Nolan?
I grew up listening to KCCN. I grew up listening to my dad listen to all Hawaiian music. Yeah, and when it was AM, and I remember when Brother Nolan came on, he was back probably 85, 80, something like that, John.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking it was like so different than anything else that KCCN was playing at the time, and I just thought it was cool. I thought it was, groundbreaking, and I've been a fan of his ever since. I think most of us have. So it was you know, we when we did Big Ship, we did it as a, you know, we definitely did it as, you know, partly as an homage to him, you know, and
Freddie McGregor too. But
Freddie McGregor
but
as well.
Definitely Brother Nolan's style and his feel.
Coconut Girl and, you know, just the hits.
Being in the crowd that night, I thought that was like when he came on stage with you guys.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah, I was there.
Awesome,
But I was like, wow, this is. Personally, I thought this is like, just, you know, being a musician and knowing you guys' music, and knowing Hawaiian music. I thought that was like the best part of the birthday bash that year, just because, you know, just seeing kind of like a passing of a torch, kind of, right? You know, him passing it on to you guys, but that was incredible, I thought. So, do you feel that your music, or Hawaiian music, Hawaii's music from Hawaii in general, you think it has potential in the future to be played on mainstream radio here in the mainland?
Well, not even in the mainland you're hearing reggae, right? I mean, XM radio has it, Sirius and so forth, but as far as mainstream radio in the mainland, it's all hip hop, country, you know,
R&B.
jazz, R&B, you know, they don't even have a reggae station. At least back home you have the Hawaii station, so, but, you know, I mean, there is potential, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we just, you know, we had a one of our songs on a movie that came out this summer called "Forgetting Sarah Marshall." You know, that was completely came out of the blue, completely unexpected. You know, and that was real cool. I mean, there's a lot of other local musicians on that soundtrack as well. Then you got like, you know, Dog the Bounty Hunter, and you know, in some of these MTV shows. You know, we heard Natural Vibes a couple of times on a couple of these shows, and Fiji on Emerald, and so, you know, it's cool to see the, you know, kind of the music in Hawaii music in general being represented, you know, in movies, especially, you know, thanks to guys like Brother Is, you know, his stuff is all over the place. So yeah.
You guys are in studio right now working on your second album. What can your fans expect to hear on the next album?
I don't know. It's a different. I think a lot of us on the first album, like a lot of us, like for myself, I actually, you know, didn't get to write any songs, but I think on this album you get to hear a lot more of everybody on this album. I don't know what. For me personally, I think it's gonna be a good album, just from hearing what we have so far. But I don't know. You hear a lot of our influences come out on this album. Like there's a lot of different types of music on there. So.
Any guest appearance from any other musicians or artists? I know his first album you had a few.
There's a handful, right?
There's a couple, but you know, that brings up a kind of an interesting point, because the first record, you know, we had opportunity to do tracks with, you know, other really well known artists in the genre, and we purposefully you know, respectfully declined. You know, we wanted to really make a statement. We wanted to do the record ourselves. You know, we wanted to write our own music, arrange our own music, perform our own music. You know, without having to rely on. You know, we thought we had a point to make, and you know, I think we did it. I want to real quickly address one point that, you know, it's been, I think, for people that don't know us and that are disconnected from us because we're here in the mainland. A lot of people don't realize, you know, they ask, you know, well, who came in and produced your record? You know, who came in and did this and who did that? Well, you're looking at it right here. You know, from the writing to the arranging. I mean, we have the demos to back it up. We demo all of our songs before we come to the studio. If you go back and listen to all the demos for Make You Move, it's almost note for note. You know, we came in here, we knew exactly what we wanted to do, and all the arranging was done by these 7 guys right here in this room. And we did bring in, you know, we don't have a horn player in the band, so we would bring in a horn player to play the horn line, but we wrote the horn parts, you know. We don't have a keyboard player in the band, so we brought in someone, you know, a friend of ours to come play keyboard, but we wrote the keyboard parts. You know, I think that's a point that I really want to stress.
Well, that's good to have your fans know about that. That you guys straight up hard workers, hard musicians, and you guys want to do his own music, and make that stand.
And to reiterate what he said as well as he said, writers came out of the closets. You know what I mean? We have great writers in this band. That's the thing I think sets us apart, you know, as far as, you know, lyric content, arrangements, but, I mean, blessed, lucky, you'll be hearing these all day, but fortunate to actually have these brothers, you know what I mean? Like, they got a lot of hidden potentials, and it's coming out on this album. it'll definitely come out on this album. You guys will, well, hopefully you guys will like it, you know, but you guys will be the judge of it. But talking about the writing, producing, nothing's changed, you know. As that old saying goes, you know, if it ain't broke, no need to fix it. You know what I mean? So we're going with that same deal, but just more drive now. You know, more drive and determination, like something to prove. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a fluke, you know, like, you know, and we're trying to do something big on this album, you know, and try to take it, raise up the bar, and we'll see what happens. But, you know, it's the same mentality that we're taking the approach to this, you know, just put out what we love. You know, this is what we do, and hopefully the fans will appreciate, you know, appreciate the work that we put into it, you know, and the weight that it's, you know, it's pretty much been.
So, what would you like to tell your fans, I guess, about their loyalty to your music and what to expect on the next album? Just what would you like to say to your fans?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We definitely appreciate the support. Definitely appreciate the support.
Right on. So, maybe on a lighter side, which one is probably the least, not the least, but the quietest one in the group?
Quietest one. There is no quiet one in this group. I think I would be the quietest. Oh.
You?
I don't talk much.
I think
Quietest in a sense, like, what do you mean by quiet?
That you hardly say anything, but then when it's time to say something, you get that point across, and
Oh, that's
I
you.
don't know. Yeah, he probably Heaney and Connor Bees. I mean, probably Heaney, yeah. Heaney has a lot of opinions and he has a lot of good ideas, but he's the last one to speak his mind sometimes. But a lot of times he'll speak up and he'll say something like, "Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense."
quality over quantity. Yeah. I guess we can go back to the first question.
Up to you.
Yeah, go,
Yeah.
bro, go.
So how did One Groove originate, and how did you guys come up with the name?
That's funny. We actually were performing at one of our buddies' sister's graduation party, and after our performance, one of her friends came up to us and asked if we could play at her graduation party.
That very same night.
Yeah.
That very same night
Like,
too.
we literally packed it up.
We packed up our stuff and we went over to her house, unpacked, and then we started performing. And during our performance, one of these guys was yelling, "One Groove rocks! One Groove rocks!" And then we all looked at each other and we were like, "Who's One Groove?" So, after performance, Keone and at the time Carrie, who plays bass for 3 Plus, they're taking it back a few, and they're trying to come up with names for our band, and just so happened they remembered that performance, and they put down One Groove, and what was some of the other names, you guys?
I forgot, man. There's a bunch of names.
But they came upon it, and they basically agreed on the One Groove, and that's how we got our name.
What's-
I get another question that I asked in the middle, but what other musicians or artists have influenced One Groove's music?
Let's go around the room.
Be
Heaney,
different.
just start with yours.
Multiple.
Big Bob fan.
Mine is diverse, man. I listen to a lot of R&B. That's mostly my background, like gospel music. I listen to anything. I'm a big Luther fan. Just all good music, Anybody that can sing, I'm a big fan of. So I just try and pretend like I can, and that's it.
I think for me it was different because growing up I was kind of into the whole rap and R&B, so
Gerardo, MC Hammer.
so I actually I enjoyed listening to Tony and Raphael Sadiq.
Yeah.
That was probably one of my biggest influences. And then recently, like I only started getting into reggae like maybe the last 8 years, so I didn't really know a lot of reggae back then, but I really enjoyed like Steel Pulse. So I mean, I started listening to that as far as reggae is concerned. But I've been more of a R&B and more hip hop guy. So
Tons for me. I mean, from funk, hip hop, you know, Hawaii, contemporary Hawaii, Kalapana, country comfort type styles, C&K to Bob and, you know, Steel Pulse and Black Uhuru, all those kind of groups, you know, but definitely multi-genre.
I come from a very musical family, so it's like there's always been music in the house. So like probably about the same time that I've been listening to traditional Hawaiian music, I've been listening to reggae music as well. So I grew up with both. So you can name anybody, you know, on both sides, and I pretty much grew up listening to it. So that's probably my influences. That's like that crossover. Even before, you know, that Hawaiian thing came about, you know, it was always like Hawaiian, you know, for breakfast, reggae for lunch. You combine both for dinner, you know what I mean? So it's been like that, and that's pretty much what influenced my drive and the way I write and, you know, the music style that I actually, I guess, obtained to this point.
For me, it's real different. I mean, I grew up listening to Hawaiian music, but playing rock music. I'm Molokai. Was that combination kind of weird?
Hey, was the name of the band? Come on, break it
Used to
up.
be in a high school band called Rage and Steel. And all these guys saw the pictures. All these guys saw the pictures of that, but it was mostly contemporary Hawaiian. Yeah.
What was the name of that? Wild Stallions, huh?
Ted.
But yeah.
Rage and
I never really actually got seriously into reggae until after high school, believe it or not. But all my classmates was all reggae guys.
For me, was you know, Gabi Pahinui. I grew up listening to a lot of Hawaiian music. My grandfather was a Hawaiian musician too. And then Olomana. I love Olomana C&K, Country Comfort, and then a little bit later on was Kapena, Peter Moon, on the Hawaiian side. And then when I came up here, I was already listening to a lot of rock, but I really got into metal for a while. And then I took classical guitar for a while, so I still have, you know, a real appreciation for classical music as well. And then on the reggae side, you know, I wasn't a huge reggae fan growing up. It wasn't until probably high school that I started listening to more reggae. But one of my big influences up here is Native Elements. You know, our brothers that we gig with them, and actually one of their members is engineering our record for us, and they've been a big influence on me musically in the reggae genre.
So as a group, as one group, you guys, you know, toured the West Coast, toured Hawaii. Amongst that time, what would be one of the stories, funny moments that really stuck out in you guys' memory?
Well, where do we start, man?
That's
Every
time we get together.
Oh man,
Seattle.
Should we start with the moped story? Or the Seattle leaving Jose Denny's story?
I got one story. I always remember this story, but it's not on any of the tours. Actually, I guess it was a Bay Area tour, one of the gigs that we did. I gotta put you on blast, Oos.
Alright.
But my man is, if you guys know Kris and you guys come to the shows, he's always GQ'd. So there's this one show that we did at the Fox Theater, and it was like a hot day, and it was packed. And it's an indoor place, but the day was already hot, and it was packed on the inside. There's a lot of people. Lights are bright. I guess we didn't take into consideration how bright and how hot the lights were. But my man came in with a turtleneck sweater. And his turtleneck sweater was like, you know, like he was GQ. My man was pimping. He was looking good.
Yeah, jacket on top
But
of that.
he had on jacket. He wore a turtleneck sweater and a leather jacket. And he came out like flossing. And he was like gigging, you know, and was playing. Long story short, my man almost fainted. Like right after we got done. Luckily, the set was probably like what, half an hour set?
Half an hour,
It was a
yeah.
quick set because there were so many bands playing that day. But like I kept looking over and he was like, and his face was getting flushed, but he was still going, you know. Just but as soon as we got done with the last song, he was gone. Like we didn't even see him. The next thing you know, my man came back with a T-shirt. And then he started telling us the story, and he was like,
Yeah.
I almost fainted.
That was a tough one, man.
He was telling us on stage.
And we can laugh about it now, but I guess it was serious at the time. But man, it was so funny because it was hot. We all were wearing T-shirts.
Yeah.
But my man came out with like this sweater, turtleneck and the jacket.
Like I said in the beginning, eye candy. That's what I'm here. I think the thing that's cool though is like for me that is interesting about our band is like this is like for love. The band, the music, everything we do. This is like we do this because we love the music. And whenever we go on tour, we're like people from Hawaii or other bands. It's so interesting like. They have like a schedule or a deadline. You gotta be here at the bands are gonna pick you up and take you to the airport this time. And since we all have 9-to-5 jobs, like all of us is there like half an hour before. We're sitting there like waiting, in the van, and they're like running. The promoters are running around like looking for the other bands. Like where are these guys? Because for us, it's like just exciting to be able to play like with these other bands, and like that to me just always makes me laugh. Like we're all sitting in the van with coffee and like donut or bagel, like waiting, and they're looking for these other guys. Like I think they're gonna miss the flight, but like we're all there. It's kind of funny to me.
Speaking of traveling, what kind of funny. This happens every single trip. We've done quite a few road trips. We do a couple a year, and every time we go to the airport, we have a couple of big brothers and then a couple of smaller guys in the band. So like the dreaded curse on the airplane is getting stuck between these two guys. So there's as soon as we get to the airport, all the smaller guys just a rush for the ticket counter, And then one time, Brett was over there trying to give the guy $5, telling the guy, "Hey, no put me between these two people."
Or it's whose turn is it? Whose turn is it this trip?
Oh yeah.
That's funny because
we all
one
got
time they did me and Frankie. We had to we were flying back to Hawaii to do a show, and then they put us together to sit in like a little 2-seater, man. And oh my God, they felt so sorry for us. It was Hawaiian, yeah. We were flying on. The stewardess looked at us. We was trying to like get in our seats. And the lady just said, "Hey, you know what? She moved us to first class, man."
Oh, right.
I don't know who that lady is, that stewardess, but man, much love. Like that was so sick. We got to sit first class because I think she felt sorry for us, and then they had room in first class, so they let us.
To be big.
Yeah.
You guys want first class?
Nowadays they probably charge you for the extra weight, or I don't know, man. But
I know how you two big brothers feel.
yeah.